Okay, I got something really cool today that took me a really long time to get my hands on. I'll get into that in a minute. This is the 1977 CB radio for kids for your Schwinn. This was a 23 channel sort of CB radio that was designed to be clipped onto your handlebars with that, and you could travel the neighborhood talking to your good buddies through the CB. And it actually is on CB. There were comparable devices out there, like one from Coleco, but even though other devices were able to receive CB, they did not transmit on CB frequencies. For example, the Coleco transmitted on 46 point something megahertz near the 6 meter band. In other words, it could receive CB but not transmit on it, which was really silly. But that was sort of the way they were doing it back then. This one actually does transmit on channel 14. It takes a 9-volt battery. None of this control panel really does anything except for the on and off switch. Now, just as an aside here, this is probably the last video I'm going to make. I really like obtaining these old items and sharing them with people, but I don't have any YouTube ambitions. This is not a monetized channel. I don't have paid promotions. I just do it. And it's been sort of an uphill battle. I've been making YouTube rich, as all YouTubers do, and getting nothing in return. And then this happened. I got this on eBay, and with shipping it came to about $40, which was about what I was willing to pay for it. But it was $60 Canadian. Because this came across the border, that $40 is going to end up costing me almost $100 for this. It was $40 for nostalgia, $100 no. Thanks to our Commander in Beef, I can't afford to do these videos anymore because a lot of the materials, this old stuff people like, is coming from out of the country. And with the tariff stuff, I can't keep throwing money at this. So although I thought this was a good deal at the time, my bill for the duties on this is probably going to be equal to that. You know, eBay's now pointless. With that, if you're interested in videos like this, like and subscribe. Let me know if you'd like to continue seeing it. I can't make any guarantees, but I can say that I'm not going to be uploading anytime soon. So this could be the big finale here. I wasn't going to close the channel without doing this video because I'd ordered this quite a while ago and forgot about it, and it showed up today. And I said, yeah, I was going to make a video about that, wasn't I? So rather than just abandon the channel, I went with it, and we're going to do this and see what happens from there. But this is a kid's toy. If you're familiar with the company, Cox, okay, this is made by Cox. Somewhere on there it says it's made by Cox. Somewhere. You can see the box is in not great shape. But Cox made things like line-controlled airplanes and cars. Not radio-controlled, but line-controlled. There it is, Cox. And they were pretty popular in the 70s. All of Cox products were beyond my family's ability to afford. They weren't expensive by any means, but nobody I knew had stuff like that. I did not know that Cox got into the CB radio market, and of course they did, because who didn't? And again, most of the companies that did go foray into kids' CBs, they weren't CBs. They were walkie-talkies that received CB. Now, this one has surprised me in a lot of ways. It's really unique for a couple of reasons. Okay, so took it out of the box, and this fell out first. This you would use metal, shows you on the box somewhere, you would use metal worm gear vent HVAC type clamps to hold this to your handlebar, I guess this way, and then you clip the radio to this, and it has a removable, if you push this thing here, it releases the radio so you can take it with you. Cool, right? Now today we'd use zip ties for that, right? I'd probably use a little bit of rubber from like an inner tube or something to give it grip and throw zip ties on there and that would work, but back then they were using what they had. Now, on arrival, a couple things wrong with it. Oh, I taped it. I had to tape it to keep it together. So I used some electrical tape, which I'm going to actually save to throw back on there when we're done here. Even the battery hatch. The battery hatch was functional when I received it, but because this plastic was never good quality to begin with, when I went to push the tab to remove the battery hatch, the little plastic tab snapped off. I wasn't surprised, a little disappointed. I'm not sure how I'm going to fix that. I'll probably eventually make it a project and fix it, because I'm going to have to do some stuff in here as well. It was just a part in the box, and what I think is interesting if you're a radio person is I opened it up and thought, oh wow, I got ripped off. Something's not right here. Where is the radio? I can see that there's a on-off switch there, volume. The antenna's got a diode. There's a 9-volt battery, and I'm thinking somebody took the radio out of this. That's why it's broken. I was a little disappointed and immediately started to think, oh God, what can I do with it now? Is there anything I can do with this? Can I make it a project? But then I realized the microphone's quite heavy. The actual radio is in the microphone. Kind of cool. Now, this thing's got some problems. Again, if you take it apart, you can see that there's a screw hole missing here. There's actually a post. I don't know how well you'll see it in this light, but there's a post here. And there's a screw in the post, but it no longer grabs the post on the inside. I have to 3D print a replacement for the other. I probably will, and then mold it in there with some, maybe some glue or resin. And some fool put screws in the, looks like in the handset here, and this one's too long, and it poked through the front and chipped out a little bit of the plastic. Fortunately, I have some resin this color, kind of exactly that color, so I'll probably put some resin on that and polish it up and make that complete again. Why? I don't know why I do this stuff. So there is a 9-volt battery in it, and that means we can turn it on, but let me just get it back into some sort of semblance of useful here. So again, really lightweight, really cheap plastic, which doesn't surprise me. Cox built things like I said, those little tether line cars and planes, and they used really lightweight plastic for that. So when they went to do this, I'm sure they said, hey, you know, this is the plastic we've got, this is what we're going to use, no sense going overboard here. It is very similar to the plastic that I used to see on those little airplanes. So anyone talking on any channel will be heard through here, so let's try it. Channel 10. So, clearly channel 10 works. Break the breaker, channel 14. And, you know, the sound quality is not that bad, considering. It's a pretty powerful signal. I am going to do a range test. Not today. I think it's a really, really cool little radio. When I got my first CB radio, it was from Radio Shack, and it was a 3-channel TRC handheld CB. It only came with Crystal for 14. And so all the activity that I knew as about a 10-year-old was on channel 14, and that was a popular channel at the time because it was the default channel for stuff like this. But it can hear all 23 at the same time, and it's just wild because you just hear all 23 channels, and it's not overwhelming. It works pretty well. So I guess the idea was to keep you feeling busy. You know, if the channel you're on is not making any noise, this is a kid's toy. So by having wide receive, you know, anybody on any channel is just going to make noise, and the kid's going to feel involved and part of it. And as long as he turns to 14, he can make contacts. I don't know why they called this the Yapper, because it sounds kind of stupid. Maybe it sounded less stupid in 1977. So there you go. This is the 1977 Cox Yapper Kids CB radio for your bike.